Welcome to the third part of the XXL coin ranking video in the September edition. This is the most important coin ranking edition I have ever made, simply because historically, September is the worst month in the cryptocurrency market. And that is exactly why it is important to take advantage of the opportunity now, before the bull run really starts. For this reason, we will jump straight into the content. Of course, feel free to watch the other two parts. In this case, I recorded them one after the other. It's not online with me yet, but you have most likely watched it. Please leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. Of course, I would also support the effort at this point, my work. So, thank you for that in advance. We will now dive straight into the content and continue from where we left off in the second part. So, this is what our ranking looks like currently. As mentioned, feel free to check out the other two parts if you missed the other coins here. Now let's move on to the next coin, which is Popcat. As I said before we get into all of them, I am not paid by the projects of 21. This is my personal opinion, my personal potential assessment. It has nothing to do with financial advice. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments. What would you have done differently? Which altcoins would you potentially categorize in a different positioning or with different potential? I would definitely be very interested to know. Now let's move on to the next coin, which is Popcat. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. 600 million, the market cap is already relatively large. We see it here, current price 0.65 and the chart is impressive. You can't argue against that. We can take a look. It's really rare to see that throughout the entire summer slump, one all-time high after another has been broken. Yes, we are dealing with a meme coin here. One has to be extremely careful. We have extreme volatility. It may look a bit harmless here, but when we measure it, we are dealing with sell-offs of 80%. And that's why it's so important to have the emotional resilience to take advantage of such sell-offs in order to buy back in. Of course, with meme coins, you have to be extremely careful. It may also be the case that such meme coins die off, but what we are seeing here is really intense. But again, we had a sell-off of 60% from top to bottom, so we are dealing with an extremely volatile coin. However, in the long term, the trend only knows one direction, so we have really nice intermediate lows that keep getting higher, and the intermediate highs are also getting higher. Of course, we are already at a market cap of 600 million, so there isn't as much potential left. Not the explosive potential we had at the beginning, when we were at around 1.2 million market cap. So it is indeed impressive what Popcat has achieved in terms of performance. It is thus the largest cat meme coin on the Solana chain. We can take a look at it. The question is, what potential is still there? Personally, I could imagine that Popcat could still achieve a good 10x, so 6 billion is definitely possible, just so you know what is actually possible. We can take a look at Shiba Inu during the last bull run, where we can examine the market cap to get a sense of the ratios and what is possible. In the last bull run, we had a market cap of 35 billion, and that's why I see a realistic price target for Popcat to reach around 6 billion, maybe even 10 billion. That would still only be, in quotes, 1/3 of Shiba Inu. The question is what will prevail and what won't. But Popcat is definitely a candidate that could achieve 10 to 20 times its value. Next, the project Tectum is one that I am personally very convinced about. I really like it. It is a new layer 1, and with layer 1s, you have to be careful about which ones will succeed and which ones won't, so that's always a question in itself. However, here we have a circulating supply of 66 million, with the majority already available, and I find the blockchain itself extremely appealing. It's definitely worth taking a look at, especially regarding the soft nodes. There is a solid consensus mechanism behind it, and the transactions are decent, but to be completely honest, you can't focus too much on the fundamentals here. At the end of the day, the community and the investors determine the price sooner or later, which is why the marketing needs to be right, as well as the overall presentation of the project. I simply like Tectum a lot. We can also take a look at it. The marketing is top notch. We see a whole company behind this, and with a market cap of 60 million, we are really dealing with a relatively small project here. We can also see here that we were already at $30 back then, which would be a good 3 to 4 times until the last all-time high. That's why there is still a lot of potential, because 10x would mean 600 million, which is quite achievable, and I would categorize it that way. Personally, I find it realistic, especially in the range of 10 to 20x. I know some of you are extremely enthusiastic about Tectum. Theoretically, it could be ranked a bit higher, but simply because it is a layer 1, and possibly layer 1s do not receive the same narrative and hype as other niches, I would place it at around 10 to 20x. I think AI, real-world assets, and 2021 memes have it a bit easier this cycle than direct layer 1s do now. Now let's continue with the next coin, which is Toncoin. I think everyone has heard that the CEO of Telegram, and thus the CEO of Toncoin, has gone to prison. We saw it here, which is why we experienced strong panic in the meantime and were sold off from about 7 or 8 down to 5. Therefore, in my opinion, one needs to be a bit cautious here. Of course, one can also compare it to BNB, which also came back when the CEO of Binance went to prison. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that just because the CEO is going to jail, it has to happen. There are still ongoing negotiations. However, one definitely needs to wait and see. I will be a bit cautious at this point, even though I really enjoy Tonken. I find the use case incredibly good because there are already users on Telegram, and it can be perfectly integrated. That's why the use case is great and the coin is also good. That's why we had this strong rally, especially during the summer lull, where the coin has held up extremely well. Making an investment here now comes with a bit of risk because it is still unclear what the situation is regarding the CEO of KuCoin, so one must wait and see. I would categorize it as a 5 to 10x, which is still quite realistic, but a 5-fold increase would already be quite significant, as we would then be in the range of a 50 to 100 billion market cap. Therefore, I think it makes sense to categorize this as a 5 to 10 times investment. The next coin is Pepe coin. It's important to understand that it's not Pepe itself, but the Pepe coin. We can take a look at it, and the current market cap is 260 million. It is essentially the OG Pepe coin, even before the other Pepe, but it's important to know the differences here. In this case, a market cap of 260 million is not particularly high. Technically, we are back at the starting point at the previous level where we returned, right around 1.70. Therefore, I see slowly but surely good entry opportunities again. I also see significant potential here. A large portion of the circulating supply is available, and for me, this is definitely something that can still take off, simply because Pepe already had a big hype. It's important to understand that Pepe coin is not just a copy of Pepe itself, but rather a different coin that was already in the game before. That's why we just have to wait and see. For me, it's a matter of which PayPal coin will prevail more, so I'm putting it in the 10 to 20x range. Theoretically, it could be more, but if Pepe coin is recognized as this coin's little brother, then it has a bit of a harder time, but it could really do well. A large part of the liquidity is flowing into Pepe itself, which currently stands at 3 billion, so one definitely has to wait there. Otherwise, if the general question arises here, where can one buy all these coins? I am currently using KuCoin, which I really like because you can also leverage some of the individual altcoins here, and there is a great selection available. You see over 1300 trading pairs here, which is really impressive, so if anyone is interested, feel free to use the link in my video description. You will also save on fees through my link, which would support me as well. That's why you can see here that you also get a little bonus with the link in my bio. It's definitely a cool promotion that you can take advantage of. Now let's move on to the next project, which is Near Protocol, one of the top players in the AI sector. We can take a look. It is an extremely strong layer 1 and has been around for a bit longer, so it is a project that was also present in the last cycle. The diligent viewers among us definitely know that I don't think much of projects that were already popular in the last bull run. So projects like XRP, Cardano, Polkadot, whatever they are called, I don't hold much value in such projects anymore, especially regarding the investment perspective, because a lot is driven by hype and narratives. In this case, Near Protocol is, in my opinion, an exception, simply because the protocol has developed in a completely different direction. Back then we had a pure layer 1, and now we have many integrations. We can take a look, and overall, I really like it very much. It naturally also has a track record and is not like many other AI projects that have been thrown together overnight. There is really substance behind it. Some developers have been working with Near for years, so it is naturally a strong foundation that Near Protocol brings with it. We also see here, Near AI is all new again, so you can take your time to familiarize yourself with it. It is definitely worth fully understanding the project here, because then you can also recognize the potential. Sure, we are already at a market cap of 4.7 billion, but I still see significant potential here. We also had strong price performance at the beginning of the year, and with the narrative around AI, it could become one of the top players. At this point, it is already the top player. And that's why, as soon as AI should come back into hype, or rather will come back, its protocol will benefit greatly from it. That's why, in my opinion, it's somewhat better than here with Ton, Solana, and Ondo. Therefore, I categorize them in the 10 to 20x range. The risk is also manageable, which makes it a good bet to take if you haven't invested significantly in the AI sector yet. So here we have Near Protocol, USAND, in the 10 to 20x range, which would then be approximately a 40 billion market cap. It could really be realistic if it truly establishes itself as a top #1 project. Together, perhaps with Popcat, I can imagine it. Of course, that's relatively bullish, but I see a bit more potential compared to the others. Otherwise, Signally is a very interesting project. We can take a look at it as it involves a decentralized trading bot. Let's check it out. As a private investor, you can copy the top traders. It is a decentralized trading bot platform. A kind of copy trading platform, but the top traders are not selected in any particular way. You might know it from other platforms where a lot of wash trading takes place. There is a lot of cheating going on. In this case, there is a clear score or a clear AI behind it that analyzes the individual traders. I find the concept very, very good. I actually don't know of any other projects like it. This is also a unique selling point, and that's why you can see it reflected in the price. So we haven't seen any major sell-offs throughout the entire summer. We can also take a look at the chart. It's really impressive what signals are being laid out here. We were completely down at first at 0.5, and then we really shot up, one all-time high after another, and even throughout the entire summer slump, we didn't experience significant sell-offs. We are now in a nice consolidation area, or even in a slightly upward trending consolidation area, and of course, this is exactly the kind of chart you want to have. Similarly to Octaspace, which we will discuss shortly, and also in my Casper, the chart reminds me of this, and that's why I see a lot of potential here. The entire project is represented in the AI sector. A market cap of 144 million is still not particularly high compared to other AI projects, and here the circulating supply is mostly available, which naturally speaks for itself. That's why I think a 10x should be quite achievable, if not even significantly more. So even if such a project reaches a market cap of 4 to 5 billion, I wouldn't be surprised at all. That's why I also categorize it here as 20 to 30x, because I really like it a lot. It is the perfect foundation to build on for the upcoming bull run, especially when such a chart is available. Otherwise, we can also take a quick look at Render, which I'm sure everyone is familiar with. It is also decentralized cloud computing. So, we have decentralized computing power available here to train AIs. We also have strong partnerships with NVIDIA, meaning some NVIDIA developers also work at Render. This makes us the top player in the entire narrative, in the entire industry. So, for those who don't want to think too much about individual projects, and want a good risk-reward ratio, they can definitely consider Render. Of course, this is not financial advice, but this is how I would personally approach my analysis. In my opinion, it is really a safe bet in the defense sector, relatively speaking. Of course, it's crypto, so there is always some residual risk, but in relation to other projects, it is already very well established, it is very large, and it has strong partnerships with traditional companies, such as NVIDIA and other partners. So yes, there is a foundation here, there is substance behind the project, and we have also been a bit penalized. Current market cap is 2.6 billion. We can take a quick look here, but I think everyone knows Render, so let's quickly move past Render. I also think a 10 to 20x is quite possible here. We just have to keep in mind that we are already at a market cap of 2.6 billion, which means that 10x would be a market cap of 26 billion, which is quite achievable. Therefore, 10 to 20x could be realistic. Now let's move on to the next project, which is Octaspace. I have also presented it several times on my YouTube channel, even back then when it was at 0.80. So you can also check out my YouTube channel. Back in late December and early January, I talked about Octaspace, so feel free to take a look at my YouTube channel. I had already mentioned Octaspace when it was at $80, and I kept bringing it up on the way up. We are still currently in a good profit, which I really like about the project. It has also developed extremely strongly. I never thought we would see such strong price performance throughout the entire summer slump, one all-time high after another, and a higher interim low after another. That's why I currently see good entry opportunities here again, especially for a project that has a market cap of 45 million. We can take a look. So it's basically also heading towards decentralized infrastructure networks, somewhat similar to Render, Cache Network, OpenGPU, whatever they are all called. So here, the narrative is also covered. We actually have a kind of decentralized VPN as well. There are several possibilities and use cases that Octaspace addresses. This is also somewhat of a unique selling point, along with a public team behind it. I really like the tokenomics. So here we have some fundamental parameters that are really solid, providing a good foundation for potential price performance. I personally can really imagine that Octaspace will establish itself strongly. We are still completely at the beginning here. It gives me a bit of Casper vibes, where we were still completely at the beginning. That's why I'm putting it in the category of 30 to 50x Octaspace. It is an absolute top player that I have had in my own portfolio for a long time. Then the next project, Bitunix, everyone knows about. I have mentioned it repeatedly. It is currently one of the best AI projects on the market. Yes, you can build quite a bit on Bitunix. Many even say that you need nothing else but Bitunix, because any AI project can be built on Bitunix. So, in the ecosystem one can definitely hold the view, so I can understand. Current market cap 2 billion. Anyone who wants to avoid making mistakes in this sector can definitely go with Tensor. This is definitely my opinion without financial advice, but I see a lot of potential here. Sure, circulating will still bring some challenges our way, but the tokenomics are definitely in good shape. So, the inflation is kept in check because it is spread out over several years. And otherwise, I have mentioned it repeatedly in the videos. I believe some of you are familiar with the chart, where I also said that I personally see a strong support, in quotation marks, also the bottom at $200. That's why there have been good entry opportunities here time and again, especially now with the triple bottom, which is really quite rare. 3 contact points at around $200, and also here with a double top at the top, making it very interesting. At 370, we are simply in a range where we are currently consolidating. Sooner or later, I also see a breakout here, because it is clear that the sustainable downward trend has been broken. This means we are no longer in a downward trend. We are now likely in a kind of interim consolidation phase before a sustainable breakout to the upside occurs. We were already around that point back then. $750 would be quite a multiple from the current point. Therefore, I personally see a lot of potential in Bitunix, especially if it crystallizes as a top player. It could easily reach 30 to 40 billion. That's why I still see a potential of 10 to 20x regarding Bitunix, so I'm putting it in here. It's getting very crowded at 10 to 20x. Next, the project Nairo is a relatively new meme coin. Let's take a look. It has been pumped very strongly recently, especially over the last 7 days, which is really impressive. There is also a significant amount of smart money involved in this project, making it very interesting to observe. It is a meme coin in which I personally am not invested. One might consider what to do if we get another small pullback, but currently the chart looks relatively strong. I'm also curious to see what happens here. So, is it the little brother of Dogecoin? It could potentially be pushed by Elon Musk. These are some speculations. But we have already seen with Dogecoin what is possible. If we have a kind of little brother here, there is certainly still a lot of potential, but I wouldn't rate it too highly. I would say something like a 20 to 30x if it really takes off. That's why I'm putting it up here, but a lot has to happen for that. I am curious, but many smart money investors have positioned themselves with Nairo, and therefore I still see good potential in the meme coin. As a small update, I had already mentioned it in the first video, I have now launched my own paid group. We can take a look at Performance Syndicate, which was launched with 5 other crypto experts, so I'm not alone here. I usually present it on my YouTube channel anyway, but here you really get all the information for 2021 first, especially when something happens quickly, particularly regarding meme coins, when there are new launches or similar events. And what we also offer is wallet and social media tracking. So for example, wallets from Alex Becker or other insider wallets, whale watching, those kinds of things will also be coming your way. You can definitely check it out. It's completely new, really just launched a few days ago. Anyone who wants to grab a bonus here can of course use PS Launch, and you will currently receive a 50% discount. Feel free to try out the group, and you can give me critical feedback. I fully support this group, as there is really a lot of added value behind it. This is truly a group and a group system that I wish I had when I started with crypto. You really get a complete overview. In the future, I will also launch video courses here, so you will essentially get a complete package regarding cryptocurrency, ensuring that you stay up to date and are informed. Now let's move on to the next coin, which is WeChain. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it. There are many WeChain fans out there. The approach of decentralized supply chain tracking was a strong narrative during the last bull run. In my opinion, WeChain doesn't have much potential at this point. I'm actually not a big WeChain fan anymore, although I have to say that WeChain was my favorite project during the last bull run. So, you can see how opinions can change, but you just have to accept that old projects from the last cycle are not particularly relevant in this cycle anymore, and that's why I wouldn't necessarily invest here anymore. I don't see much potential left. Yes, the circulating supply is indeed present, but in my opinion, other narratives are relevant for this bull run. A market cap of 1.7 billion is already relatively high, which is why WeChain unfortunately has to be ranked among the 5 times just barely. I know I already received some comments about WeChain in the last RWA ranking video when we take a look here. Hey Vincent, how can that be? Rank WeChain higher. I see significantly more potential in WeChain. However, I believe the hype around WeChain is over, so I'm now investing in 5x. I wouldn't invest significantly here anymore. I would rather put my money into emerging projects like Bitso or Casper. I invite the group with 4 or 5 other crypto experts. We discuss news and macroeconomics, high cap analyses, low cap analyses, and also the hidden gems that I frequently present, which will be posted there earlier so that you are informed. Finally, we come to the very last project, XSwap, which is also represented in the RWA sector and was included in my last RWA ranking video. Here, the current market cap of 100 million looks very good to me and has held up relatively well over the summer slump. We can see it here, and 100 million is not particularly much. What we have here is a complete launchpad for RWA projects, not just an entire infrastructure being created, but also for other asset classes, for real estate that is being brought onto the blockchain. So there is really a lot represented here. I see a lot of potential. It's a whole infrastructure bet, so you don't have a huge individual asset risk. I also really like the presentation. As I said, the investor core is relatively strong. We didn't have any major sell-offs over the summer, and therefore, in my opinion, there is at least a potential for 10x here. The circulating supply is already in place, so we won't face significant inflation. 100 million is not particularly much, so I categorize it as having a potential of 10 to 20x. Yes. To conclude, we have already opened the second row here, so this was definitely from my ultimate XXXL coin ranking video in the September edition, in my opinion the most important edition, because I believe we are just on the brink of the upcoming bull run. It is quite possible that a strong parabolic upswing will occur around October, November, December, and one simply needs to be prepared with the appropriate altcoins. That's why it was extremely important for me to give you a detailed update here. Please make sure to write in the comments what you think about the altcoins I ranked today, which altcoins might have been missing, and which ones you would like me to rank in another video. I would really appreciate it if you could let me know in the comments. Otherwise, the next coin ranking video will take place again in October, which could definitely be very exciting, especially if the bull run starts in October or November. Then several new altcoin projects will launch, and we will have some completely new players in the ranking system. I'm definitely extremely excited. It was a lot of fun for me to record today's coin ranking video for you. As I mentioned, I recorded all 3 videos in a row for you, and I would be really happy if you could leave a subscription for my work. Liking and commenting would also greatly support me. Otherwise, I would like to sincerely thank you for your attention. Feel free to check out the links in my video description, and then I would say see you again in the next video.